Welcome back. We are about to get started with our next matchup here between Ascent and froyotech Gaming. We just saw froyotech just come out and just, well, frankly, destroy Reason.
Destroy.
Yeah.
Is the correct word,
Yeah,
I think.
destroy. Absolutely destroy. 5-0, very, very dominating fashion. And, of course, we also saw, well, we didn't see it, but I believe it was over on stream, too. You saw Ascent. They lost to Nerd Rage, I believe, 6-3.
Yeah,
it was.
6-3.
Yeah.
So Nerd Rage coming out of the gates doing fairly well themselves. They won. That's not the past tense of win. They won. They won 8 middles in a row there on Process as well, but that's a very strong map for Nerd Rage. It would be a little bit surprising if they didn't win it with Flippy. So I think it's an interesting situation for both of those teams because given this matchup now, I think you would, given that froyotech beat Reason and Reason normally beat Nerd Rage, you'd expect that froyotech would destroy Nerd Rage here, and would destroy Ascent here, given that they lost to Nerd Rage. They normally lose to froyotech, but I think Ascent have got a lot of experience playing against this froyotech team. They may be the best chance at taking out froyotech potentially.
Yeah, because I mean they play them all the time in ESEA in the North American games, so they have a good feeling of how they play and whatnot. And of course, Ascent also just picked up Enigma as well, so that's a really good pickup for them. A lot of good experience that Ascent has now to play with their team.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. And Ascent they've always been heralded as a bit of an online team. Their performances at LAN have not been as good, but I think that's potentially a bit unfair to them because in every one of those situations, the teams they've been coming up against have been incredibly solid LAN teams. They've been teams that have been born and raised in that kind of LAN situation. And so it's difficult to really compare the online and offline for them. I don't think they're chokers at LAN. I don't think that's a fair comparison in any way.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see how they do here. In that last matchup between Froyo and Reason, we saw Banny just absolutely crush things. I believe he had 430-some DPM around there. 441, and he went like
32 for 8.
32 for 8. Yeah, it was unreal. He was just tearing things apart. Anything that came in front of him, it was blown to pieces by those rockets. So I'd definitely be looking to him to do some big work for froyotech in this match too. I would think.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the synergy between him and Shade was far superior than between Captain and Nox. They seemed to be on a different page. Lack of communication, something between the combo there from Reason. Whereas really the combo from Ascent is a fantastic one. Rando is an incredibly accomplished soldier. He is a very, very good pocket for them. He's able to dish out a vast amount of damage. Is he one of the only soldiers who still really plays that traditional style with the shotgun and really trying to dish out as much damage as possible? I haven't really looked into that, but I can't think of anybody else who really plays as big and pockety a style as he does.
No, I think I would definitely say he's one of the few that plays that role. But I mean, he does well with it.
Absolutely.
Puts out a lot of good damage. So we'll have to see if he can compete with Banny in this one. I think it's going to be rather tough, just considering how well Banny played against Reason there. But time will tell.
It absolutely will. We're going to be going live with this match right now. It's Ascent versus froyotech on CP Gullywash. This is the next test for froyotech, essentially. They dismissed Reason completely. 5-0. It was an ablation. Let's see if Ascent can do any better against the defending world champions here. It is our first mid, Gecks.
Let's see if they can do it. It's going to be a rather tough one. Enigma moved straight up the Froyo side to get things kicked off. See maybe if he could find something on the Duatna, but not the case. Both teams just playing on their side of the mid for the time being, and Banny's actually going to bomb in towards that big door side. Rando gets blasted by Blaze there, and Ascent is down 1, but Duatna's going to fall actually to a rocket from Mela, but Ascent has lost 3 players now on this mid, and things are not looking good for them, actually. Shade got taken out by Enigma, which is a massive pick for Ascent there right at the end. They do get wiped, but they did get Shade, which is something on the bright side for Ascent there.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I mean, the positioning from Rando was really odd, actually. They sent Mela up through the drop down, and then sat Rando in big door to try and maybe distract or just attract a bit of attention, but he was completely alone, and now Blaze is the one that's completely alone, managing to get out there on 17 health, Clockwork on 18 as well. The players on froyotech just do seem to have this ability to stay alive, even on this single-digit and very, very low double-digit health. They're wizards at being able to perfectly judge when they can get out whilst still maximizing the damage output.
Yeah, they are one of the best in the world, not the best team in the world. So That just goes to show, you know, the kind of skill that they have. Really, they excellent players. So we'll see now. They are looking to move in through this choke. They have a bit of advantage here, and I'm not sure if they're aware of it. I'm sure they are, as Shade keeps track of that very well for them. But they are coming up on this Uber right now. They have not moved off of it yet. Ascent is actually going to go ahead and take the high ground on their second point here as froyotech moves in through this flank side as Benny leads the charge. They've actually already gotten Clockwork into the lower lobby, but Mela's there to contest with him a bit. He was able to find that frag on a Clockwork, and Ash is wandering around inside of lobby as well, but Froyo knows a player down. They can't really push in all that much, so both teams have the Uber. Just going to be waiting it out here until somebody can get that pick to initiate the push.
Yeah, and that really was 50-50 there with Clockwork. They pushed him in deep, and then he was trying to get the pick onto the Roma, and Mela went down to 5 health, but was able to get it and had to rotate all the way back to resup. Shrugger now incredibly weak, down to 16. So you can see the way that they're rotating heals around, trying to pick these players off. It's not quite going the way of froyotech so far. They lost that 50-50 play with Clockwork, but it doesn't put them in a bad situation if they lose them, so there's no problem with that. Banny now poking in through the choke point, seeing if he can get some cheap damage out. He's knocked Badonsky down a little bit, but Blaze has taken so much damage coming in from that choke point, 3 HP. Badonsky down to 50, but this surely is an opportunity for Ascent either to send a counter sack or possibly a scout just running in from that big door. Instead, they're rotating the heals over to that area of the map. They might catch Clockwork.
Oh, he's very hurt there. Shrugger actually is able to pick up on a Clockwork here. Rando's going to bomb in as well. Shrugger has gone down. Banny's able to find 2 frags there. He got Rando and Shrugger. The Fragile's forced to use his Uber here, and Shade still hasn't popped it. He will finally take that off, but Ash was taken out in the middle of that fight. Ascent down 2, Froyo down 2 as well. It's a 4v4, and Froyo's actually moved all the way in through with Banny. He's in onto Fragile, able to find him. He's going for more here. Banny he actually gets taken out. They exchange on each other. Badonsky and Banny, both of them, and Shade was able to keep himself alive thanks to Clockwork. So some scrappy fighting here, but Clockwork actually in lobby able to find Rando, so Froyo is in on second point now.
On that push into mid though, Rando counter-bombed Banny, and Banny had already taken a frag, had already taken a bit of damage, and Rando had full health. He just completely whiffed all of his shotgun, and then the Fragile dropped him trying to save him in the Uber charge as well. It was a bad play from the pocket, and then a really bad Uber charge from the Fragile. But in the end, they managed to stabilize it with some scrappy fighting afterwards. froyotech not able to really all get together, instead going for a few of the frags. Blaze has managed to bomb in though, and he's trying to get the damage onto these players, maybe open something up. He's traded for Badonsky. That really opens things up here for froyotech to push in. The Demo Man's so important on these last defenses. And froyotech are going to be trying to play the point. Clockwork down. Banny's in the water area though, and they've really taken their time with this one. Even though Enigma and Sugar are really weak, the Uber charge is going to come in. Rando might survive this one. Mailer's gone down, but Ascent are getting their respawns. They might be able to hold this, but Duanto with the stickies.
He's able to get a couple of frags there. Ascent is down 2 players at the moment, but they are getting these return frags. Thanks to Badonsky, he gets Duatna as well as another one, so it's a 4v4 fight at the moment. Froyo's back themselves back out into lobby. Rando gets taken out though. He got crunched inside of the lobby, and I think the Fragile's just about to go down as well. Clockwork picked up 2 frags. Banny's gonna find 2 of his own. Ascent only has just a couple to defend this point. It's Badonsky and Mela who have to try and work some magic here. He was able to get one. Actually, Mela grabs a second with these rockets. He's holding Froyo off, at least for now, to allow Ascent to get these respawns, and somehow they managed to hang on to this point here as Rando came in to pick up onto Banny as well.
Yeah, great DM play from Mela. He has some fantastic 100 damage rockets there just to deny everybody from froyotech, stop them being able to push in, and then just hidden sneaky, delaying them even further. So the spawners are now able to come in. They are streaming in here, but Clockwork's come in from behind. He's picked up 2, picks up 3. Finally shut down by Shrugger, but he's opened up so much room for the rest of his team. Only Badonsky left alive, and it seems the froyotech plan for taking down Ascent is just baiting them into pushes where they overextend and then having someone come in behind and clean up everybody. Look at that, flooding onto last here. And even though Ascent had some great defenses, froyotech really just baited them into the pushes, which they seem to be worse than the defense.
Yeah, and Clockwork is really the savior there for froyotech. I mean, he just came in. There was nobody there from Ascent to watch that big door, and Clockwork just came in, had a field day on him, picked up a 3K, got the Fragile as well, and allowed Froyo to pick up this first round here. So it is 1-0. Mela's going in for bombs right away. He did a double jump, but unable to find anything. Rando actually, I think, is going to get caught out here. He's trapped underneath with just 12 health, and players bombing up into the choke as well, getting a lot of good damage out onto Ascent, and Shrugger will be the first victim, actually. as they search for more here. Clockwork is just moving through that choke point. He's able to find the Fragile. Almost actually did get that return frag on the Shade. Rando did, so both medics did go down, but that was the only player that Froyo lost on the mid was Shade, and Ascent gets wiped.
And I don't understand what Ascent are doing. I don't understand their game plan on this mid, because they've got Rando playing underneath completely alone, and yet he's still playing with the shotgun. So at some point he really needs to meet up with the Fragile and provide a bit of stability. He's the backbone of this team. He's the point at which the rest of them rally around, and with him playing underneath on the mid fights, he's the one having to survive the longest and then go for these frags right at the end. That's just playing perfectly into froyotech's hands. And look at them, they've sandwiched them and cut them off from the rest of the team here. froyotech actually losing two, though. Both of the scouts go down, and bluee getting pressured up top. The Ascent team there wise to the play that froyotech were making, but Banny unstoppable on that lower area. But Mailer's in. Nice stuff from him to pick up Dewatna. That may open things up for them to go a little further out. But is this just froyotech baiting them into a push that they know
coming in from behind once again. He's actually whiffing on the shots onto the Fragile. They're very, very lucky that Clockwork didn't hit those, because he had such a good opportunity to come in and do exactly what he did last round. So Ascent dodges the bullet there, and they back themselves back up onto the last point, as both teams have the Uber at the moment. Shrugger is down, but he's just about to get his respawn, and the bomb comes in from bluee, actually forces that Uber out of Ascent, and Shade still has his. bluee got taken out, but they're trying to force Shade here. Actually, what a great surf from Shade to get right back up onto that second point. He was able to milk it, and he still hasn't used the Uber. Got knocked down very low, but he still has it. Froyo's lost quite a few players, though. They only have 3 guys up right now. They're finally forced to use it. Out on the second point, Banny gets sent forward into lobby as well, trying to hunt down the Fragile, but he gets himself out of there. So it's Enigma out on second. He's trying to cap this point, but gets blown to pieces by bluee. So that is Ascent now down 3 players. Froyo wants to move off of this. They've already sent Ash on in. Banny's in as well. They have a storm coming towards them. Ascent does. Banny goes down. Actually, Ash gets taken out as well. Clockwork able to pick up onto one, but it's exchanging frags here, and I think Ascent is going to come out on top of that one.
Yeah, Badonsky's pipe at the end there, just fantastic stuff. The DM on display from all of these players is phenomenal, even though some of the games maybe a little one-sided. Even the losing team just has so many fantastic plays. The skill level on both of these teams is insane. But froyotech here do have a bit of an Uber disadvantage. It's about 60%, and they're not really positioned in the best way. They're just hoping to force it out here with Dewatna. Shade now retreating behind the point, but Ascent have not pushed very quickly. They look actually as if they're just content to hold. This would be a bit of a missed opportunity if they were to do so.
Yeah, they had so much advantage. I don't know why you wouldn't move off that unless somebody just wasn't paying attention.
Yeah,
but
missed time of the Ubers, perhaps.
I don't know what it is, but I mean, Froyo's got their Uber now, so definitely a missed opportunity from Ascent. Both teams are going to have it, as Froyo's poking around a bit towards that big door side, but for now it's just some standard holds, and we'll see. Mela's actually playing down in that lower lobby. I guess he's expecting someone from Froyo to come down in that way, so that's how he's playing the flank with Enigma, but still just hanging out here.
And I think that's the kind of experience that Ascent has dealing against froyotech. Look at that, and reads Clockwork perfectly, but bluee is coming to help him out, and Ash was considering it as well, and they just find Mela all on his own in that lower area. He knew exactly what was going to happen, but was powerless to stop it. The Uber charge is now going to be traded. Rando not dropped this time, but there are 2 players down, Shrugger and Mela, not to be seen on the scoreboard. Look at that bomb from Banny as well to take down Enigma with 1 rocket. Badonsky's desperately trying to stop people aggressing onto the rest of his team. Takes down Clockwork, but is going to die in the process. And froyotech flooding forwards even now. bluee in.
Oh my goodness, he was able to pick up onto the Fragile. He did get traded out by Shrugger, but still you take that trade any day. Froyo actually getting crunched inside of the lobby here. It's just Shade and Clockwork that are up, as Mela was able to pick up onto Dewatna here. So Ascent with an opportunity to move back out onto the second point here. I didn't think it was looking too hot for them at first, but they managed to get themselves together, and now they will be able to grab the second point. Shade does have some pretty hefty advantage here, Sideshow.
Yeah, they're able to pull it together, but the Fragiles spawn quite considerably afterwards, and so they heal disadvantage and Uber disadvantage here for Ascent, and they've got really poor position. Look at the bomb in by bluee. Takes down Rando with absolute ease. The frag actually taken by Ash there onto the Fragile, but it was a great bomb to take down Rando at the beginning and just set everything up for the rest of his team. Mela's the sole person to attempt to defend last, and that is not going to work out for them. 2-0 but considerably slower than the froyotech Reason game. Ascent with some good defenses on last.
Yeah, they did have some good defenses. They stayed around on that second point just a bit too long, though. Froyo came right back in and just crushed them. So that is a 2-0 lead for Froyo here. See if Ascent maybe can get themselves back in it. Mela very fast jumps up into the choke, trying to see maybe if he could find something onto the demo man there. But bombs galore, actually. Froyo just playing on their side. Rando's the first victim. Pipes go into Sugar as well, but Donsky falls here. 3 are down from Ascent, and the Fragile, with just minimal health left, is trying to get himself out of this alive, but is not going to be able to make it. Banny shut him down. It's just Enigma who's still lurking around.
Yeah, he attempted to get up drop down. I think he's going to try it again, but he's met somebody in that lower area. Ash is going to win that 1v1, but made considerably easier by the fact that Enigma had hit himself in the face with the 3-rune blade and still had it out when the 1v1 occurred. Sugar gets the better of Clockwork in that lower lobby, though. And Dewatner finds the sticky trap kill onto Mela. That means that everything's safe, though, for the Fragile to come out. It looks like they're half-heartedly trying to block this. Oh, nice shot from Blaze to take down Rando up top. But there's only 3 players left alive here for Ascent. The Fragiles managed to make it out to last here with what he has built up in his Uber meter. Oh. The spawns are coming in 1 second for Badonsky.
Oh, this could be trouble for Ascent here. They've already lost 3. Shade found the arrow onto Sugar, and they have someone under the point there. I believe that's Blaze. He's got the cap time down, and he actually just jumped straight up through and found the Fragile as well. Ascent with only 2 players up. They will lose this round as well. Froyotech taking a 3-0 lead here.
Yeah, and it really looks like Ascent, instead of being able to aggress and take and put Froyotech on the back foot at any point, are just getting pushed further and further back by Froyo. Ascent, they're kind of scrambling in every situation to slow them down as much as they can, but they're never aggressing. They're never the ones actually initiating. I want to see what Mela and Randy do on this mid. Mela's managed to make it up the drop-down area, and he's turning a few eyes, but people from Ascent are still struggling to get up that right-hand side and help him out. Rando's just about there, but now that Clockwork's taken out Mela, the rest of them may be soon to follow. The health on Froyotech not very good, though.
Yeah, they're kind of keeping them stuffed into the choke. They only have 3 up as well. Froyotech, they're still trying to send the scouts right back on through. It's Ash and Clockwork wreaking havoc. They've been able to pick up 4 now between the 2 of them, and they just wipe Ascent right back out. The scouts from Froyotech just too strong, and they were able to get the Fragile as well. Shade is just about to come up on that Uber too.
Yeah, and if Ascent had really capitalized on the work that Mela was doing, distracting everybody, and Rando as well, they could have had that mid. Froyotech were incredibly weak. They had really bad positioning, but it was another case of teams just not dealing the killing blow to Froyo. They weren't pinning them back in that choke point. They weren't able to get up the right-hand side. And credit to the 2 Froyo players, I can't remember who it was, that were blocking the rest of Ascent, because they knew that if they were able to get up that right-hand side, it was curtains for them on that mid.
And now that leaves them ready to go here. Actually, they've made their push into last year. Froyo has Ash has gone down. They're actually down 2 players. Ash and Clockwork, they popped the Uber in, but weren't really able to do all that much with it. So Ascent is moving back out into lobby. Blaze gets taken out by Mela. Actually, Craters and Clockwork's lurking inside of that lower lobby. Needs to be careful, but Enigma caught onto it rather quick there. So Ascent back out onto second. Actually, Rando got sent forward trying to deal with Dewatner.
Banny's in attempting to get onto everybody. He does actually get taken out by Mela there. Nice defense of the Fragile, but he's so weak. I think he was on 12 health after that bomb from Banny. A little bit unlucky not to pick up the Fragile with his full Uber charge as he now moves in from Big Door. But they're finding these frags, these singular frags all over the place here from Froyotech. Froyo just trying to mess things up a little bit in an attempt to force the Uber charge out of the Fragile, but it's not working for them. They are getting pushed back. Ascent are getting quite a lot of free ground with this single Uber charge, but it's only going to be 10 seconds until Shade has one of his own.
Yeah, he is going to be up on it shortly, and Badonsky's going to be a victim here. Banny bombs in as well to try and maybe find Enigma, but gets called out. Sugar was able to clean up on that one, so both team down a player. Actually, they just lost Ash as well, but Clockwork's going to pick up a couple of frags. Gets Enigma and Sugar. Still haven't popped the Uber off yet. Ascent hasn't. It's a 3v3 fight at the moment. Ascent's been pushed back into the other side of the choke point, but Blaze coming in from the backside is going to force the Uber out of the Fragile, and they're just trying to send it forward. Shade actually gets taken out just before it came up, so that is good that Ascent could at least keep that Uber out of their hands, but regardless, Froyo just cleaning up on frags after the Uber.
And that was so close there. I don't know whether that was in the high 90s. I don't know whether it was 99%, but it was very close there for Shade. I wondered whether Ascent were going to waste that entire Uber advantage that they had, even though the Froyo positioning was so close. But they did manage to catch them and then just got wiped straight back. Really unlucky from Shade, but the rest of the team don't need that Uber charge. They're able to wipe Ascent either way and carry on going forwards. They're going to be able to recap this 4th point, but Sugar is hanging around behind. Yeah, attempted a back cap there just for a second. I think he was hoping that Mela would throw his body on it, but instead he's now found himself in a 1v2 against both of the soldiers. Takes down Banny though, and he finds himself in a 1v1 now with Blaze. Blaze's health really quite weak, but Sugar only on 4. Oh, he does manage to find the 1v2 there, Sugar. Does get taken down by Ash, but he was only on 4 health there. A great play by Sugar either way to open things up for the rest of his team, because all of those other froyotech players had to go back and help their soldiers.
Yeah, last time Sugar tried to do that, didn't turn out too well for them. They ended up losing the round. Actually just happened last round, but
it's a game of numbers, Gecks. It's a game of numbers. You have to try it at least 10 times before you know whether it's going to work or not.
Well, it worked out for him that time, and it allowed Ascent to gain a little bit of ground here. They're back onto their 2nd point, still a bit on their heels here, but they do have the Uber charge. Both teams have it at the moment, so I'm just waiting.
Oh, Blaze is in. Blaze
he's getting that damage out as well, and he forced the Fragile very early there, and that is going to be Shade with a full Uber to just push right back in with.
Yeah, they are just going to sit there, block the Ascent Uber from coming in, and then re-Uber onto them. Ash is going ham here. He wasn't even in the Uber charge, he just ran in front of it. But everybody from Ascent knew it was coming and had to back off. But look, the double back cap actually from Enigma and Sugar. They might be able to get this. They're in a 2v2 with both of the scouts. Oh, they got slammed there actually by Clockwork and Ash. Shade actually picking up one of the frags onto Sugar, just giving his scouts a helping hand. But they blocked for long enough there for the rest of froyotech to come back and help. But it was a valiant effort by both of the scouts from Ascent. They very nearly got it.
It was. It could have turned out very well for them. Just couldn't quite get it. Just a hair away. So that is now going to be Shade with a bit of advantage here. But Badonsky and Mela both inside a lobby, able to pick up on some frags here. Blaze and Ash both get melted in there. So Ascent is definitely going to gain some ground to push back in with. Shade is very hurt, needs to get himself out of here. Duatna's another victim to the stickies of Badonsky. So Ascent, enough ground given to grab the 2nd point, and they're continuing to be aggressive here. Shade is moving back towards the big door side. Bomb in onto Shade by Mela, getting the rockets out, actually forced the Uber. And now Mela will still be lurking around inside of the mid, but gets taken out as Froyo trying to push themselves forward to find a couple of more frags, maybe even get the Fragile as well. They're keeping this aggression up heavily. They pop the Uber just in time to save Rando. Banny's still in, but somehow managed to get himself out of that. I'm not quite sure, but regardless, Ascent trying to move through this choke point here, but the health is just not there for them.
The health was so weak. Sugar and Enigma were on less than 50 each. Somebody got a health kit in the combo, which boosted their HP by quite a bit, but froyotech's heals are so good, and the way that they're able to play these choke points is fantastic. It's really, really difficult for Ascent to get through for free, and even when they have an Uber charge, very difficult for them to make the best of it. And as froyotech now are rotating their comms around, their heals around to the big door. Clockwork and Ash are maybe getting caught there. Banny's gone down as well, along with Clockwork. The Uber's traded, but Ash can't do anything really, and Shade is just going to hightail it out of there.
Yeah, they're trying to get out. They're down 3 players right now. They decide to go out of lower lobby. Ash decides to stay and actually stick around a little bit, try and contest somebody if they move through. Mela's in on the froyotech 2nd point, but Ash is able to take care of that quite easily. So Ascent does grab mid here, and they are looking to continue to move forward because they just picked up on another frag on a Blaze. Clockwork was inside of the choke as well, but Rando easily able to take care of that one there. So both teams actually down a couple of players now, but Ascent still keeping the aggression up. And this is really one of the first times this game that we've seen Ascent making some moves, and they're able to get themselves forward now and get 2nd.
Absolutely, and I think I'd love to hear their comms here, Ascent, as they attempt to push into this last.
Watch out, back up, back up, back up. We should stop him here, then.
Yeah, we gotta stop him with this. Put it on me, put it on me.
We pop.
God, you should have not.
They're all through. They still have it.
I just raped them. I'm fucking them in choke. They use it.
I'm gonna go big door.
Yeah, they're
I'm dead.
Well, that was that was some
Colourful.
rather.
It was colourful.
Yes, to say the least. Well, they did pop off the Ubers. Both teams did. froyotech now is they're back on their choke point, but we're seeing Duatna's actually hanging around, keeping the pressure up onto them as Ascent tries to move through the big door side and get up into the froyotech choke. Mela just gets crunched by Clockwork there. He's able to find that frag, but Ascent now in the big door is going to back themselves up, it looks like.
Yeah, they are just going to retreat through the big door, maybe rotate some things around, but with 8 minutes on the clock and the fact that they are 3-0 down, in order to really get the best out of this situation, they need 4 rounds. That is 2 minutes for every round. It's a bit of a task at this point. They need to start moving forward and get something going, start pushing on these advantages that they have, and maybe just trying to work the Uber v Uber situations, which is exactly what they're going to do now. Look at the milk coming out from Shade, though. He has such a better Uber, still got 60%. When the other Uber fades, the Fragile gets caught, but Clockwork and Blaze by Badonsky is some very nice picks that they get to work with. Bunny, though, coming back in, manages to actually find the frag onto the Ascent Demo Man. And froyotech once again coming out on the better end of it, despite those early picks from Badonsky.
Oh man, and Ascent just getting destroyed there. Once again, they're trying to make some moves because they, like you said, the time is really of the essence for them. Right now, only 7 minutes left. They're down 3 rounds, but they just can't gain any ground on froyotech here. The furthest they've made it is onto Froyo's second point, and they weren't there for very long either, and they're inside of lobby at the moment, but Froyo's just stuffing them right back in here. So Froyo gets second. They do have about 20% advantage here as well. Mela gets caught out in over by the Riverside, but gets traded. Shrugger was able to get Blaze there, so both teams down a player. Shrugger's actually still in here. He's able to find Banny up top on the second point, so Ascent does have that 1-player advantage on them here, but Shrugger just gets traded out once again. Ash is able to find him. Enigma gets Clockwork down inside of the lower lobby. Ascent poking around, maybe looking to make a move back out onto second here. Rando sends himself forward, and they also have Enigma who's still in as well, but Badonsky gets called out. Rando able to exchange with Ash, so they're exchanging these frags back and forth here, and the Ubers actually popped out of froyotech to try and stop Ascent from capping the second point back. Mela gets airshot while he was Ubered, and he should be able to pick up this frag onto Duatna here. A couple of good rockets into him, and now he finally goes down. froyotech just gets destroyed on second, and Shade desperately trying to get himself out here.
Yeah, Shade's miles out of there. He's going to be able to connect up with Ash. They're going to be building that Uber up once again. He was disconnected for a little amount of time. Depending on how Ascent build, they may have a tiny advantage to work with. Really, they'll be focused on just making sure they have this second locked down, because froyotech got the spawns, and they're the kind of team that really likes to defend in these non-Uber situations. Maybe try and shove a few players up top and peek that shutter door. Instead, Ascent have managed to come as far forward as they have the entire map, and they've taken control of the lobby. Ash is on that engineer class. They're going to be building up the defenses and attempt to shore up their last point. The Pyro as well coming out from Clockwork, and the Ubers are going to be up in just about 5 seconds here from both teams. So let's see how Ascent pushes this. It looks like they're going from the Riverside.
They're going to go through those stickies. We're able to blast Rando back a little bit, but they're in. There is a Pyro up on Clockwork as well, which isn't doing all that much, but Shrugger goes down. The Ubers were traded here. Froyo continuing to send themselves forward on the Riverside. Got the Fragile down to just 30 health here, but it's time for them to back out because they've lost 3 players in the process here. Enigma's going to get caught out by Clockwork as well on that Pyro, so it's just Mela and the Fragile back in choke. And Froyo is going to push out onto second here.
Yeah, absolutely. They're going to attempt to really tighten the noose on Mela particularly, who's stuck behind the rock, but Shrugger's found the frag on Blaze. Mela's distracted them for so long here. They've just managed to get the frag on him, and as the time ticks down, things are really now getting into the up to the point where they absolutely have to do this, but with all of the players going down, a full wipe here from froyotech. Ascent able to pick up all of those frags. Clockwork pushing out on Pyro really didn't help them at all, but they maybe feel like it's in the back, but Ascent really still have time to come back into this. 3-1 means they only have to get 2 rounds. 2 rounds in 2 minutes, definitely doable. Let's listen to the froyotech comms on this mid.
Where you are. It's 3 minutes left. Okay, is no one talking? Hello?
I'm going, Chuck. Demo's on the ground. He's coming up our side. Hit 30.
Jumping left.
think he's here.
Behind their combo.
Spamming him now.
They're all
Five,
back
Dumb
on
is
me.
dead.
They're all
Five,
knocked
hit him
out. 24 on me left. 2 on the ground still. Scout on
Well, that's going to be Ascent getting just demolished on that mid there as
absolutely.
well.
The thing that impresses me most about the froyotech comms is how they're able to call exactly the focus targets, but not just focus a certain person in a certain place. It's the calls that there's 2 underneath, and the rest of the team understands that the fact that there's 2 underneath means that they can either focus down a single player or they can go for those 2 underneath. It just gives so much more information. Everyone's on the same page. It really is crystal clear comms from a team that have been playing with each other for so long now and have that fantastic synergy and cohesion.
Yeah, that's one of the great things about froyotech. They have so much synergy together, but Shrugger and Enigma both going down here. They did pop off the Uber. It looks like they're sending Banny in through lobby. Ascent down 2 players at the moment as Froyo picks up on that second point. Badonsky's in a bit of trouble here. Banny's able to find that. Ascent with just 2 players up here. This may spell the end for Ascent very shortly, as they'll just have a deficit they just can't come back from. It's only Shrugger. He gets rocked as well by a rocket from Banny. So 4-1 now it is for Froyotech. Ascent gaining a little bit of ground, but it's just ripped right back out of their hands by Froyotech.
Yeah, they really had that one round that was incredibly back and forth, and the rest of them, they were having lackluster mids and weren't really able to put up much offense against Froyotech. But yeah, as you say, we're in a bit of dead time now for the next 2 minutes. This is mathematically impossible here for Ascent to even draw the map up and deny Froyotech some points and get a few points of their own. Froyotech have taken their second map in this group stage on Gullywash against their North American rivals, Ascent. But it was pretty close. It didn't go to win difference. It was a very back and forth game, particularly for that incredibly long round in the middle, which Froyotech came out on top of, and then there was one for Ascent as well. But yeah, definitely some insight there into the inner workings of Froyotech and what makes them such a strong team, especially in a LAN environment. I mean, just at the beginning when we went to their comms and Banny said, "Is nobody talking?" Okay.
Yeah.
So they're constantly expecting the best of themselves. They're not allowing themselves ever to get lax or complacent, even when it's getting down to the final minutes and they're, what were they, 3-1 ahead, and there's only 3 minutes left. I mean, some teams at that point slack it off. They don't feel like they really have to hammer home a victory. Froyotech absolutely want to perform all the way through. They're not content with even the slightest chance of it slipping out of their grasp.
And it's just some of the little things like that that just make them so good. You know, like other teams might get complacent, they don't. And you know, all those things culminating together is what makes Froyotech just such a dominant force in the world TF2 scene. So, yeah. Like we said, that is going to be Froyotech here. We're just down to about 30 seconds left on this map, but it is dead time. It is 4-1 Froyotech. And that will be another secured victory for them. So they are going to go 2-0 in the group stages here so far. They just look so good.
They look absolutely fantastic. Yeah, they look really good going into this. They've played on Process and Gullywash. To be fair, 2 of their stronger maps. I think the Froyotech team very comfortable on both of those maps. Classically, Gullywash has been one of their strongest maps to play, and so they'd be a little bit disappointed perhaps to not take this against their North American rivals. But it's a fantastic score that they can be proud of, and our prediction of them perhaps starting a little bit slowly out of the gates, completely wrong.
Yeah, furthest thing from it. I mean, they look just as good now as they really ever have.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ash as well. I was very impressed with his play on Scout. I thought he played very well that map. He was able to have quite a few clutch moments where he just goes in and he's able to get some picks to really open things up for his team and get things sorted and get a lot of frags, a lot of points, really open a lot of plays up. Yeah,
this is really Ash's debut, so to speak, on the class, playing at such a high, such a prestigious event, and he's doing fantastic with it. You know, really no struggles for him at all, but we do have some stats here, it looks like.
We do indeed. Let's have a look at these logs, even though they obscure your beautiful face, Gecks. The thing that I want to look at in particular is just how the Froyotech team is playing, because Banny in the previous one was absolutely destroying against Reason Gaming. If we sort it by damage there, which is what I typically like to do, you do see Banny at the top again, followed by Blaze. Rando really wasn't having as much of an impact in the game as you would like, especially on the mid fights. I really don't understand what they were attempting to achieve with Rando on the mids. I think it must have been a structured play because it's so different to what you typically see, but it just wasn't working out for them quite then. But if you sort it by frags as well, you see Clockwork and Ash there, both with 31 kills. Ash with slightly less deaths, but both of their scouts just going absolutely ham. I mean, Shrugger as well with 30. Enigma almost at the bottom, 18 for 23. He was playing a little bit of a lackluster game perhaps at that point, but it didn't feel like it. It wasn't like he was absolutely getting destroyed. I'm sure that wasn't the reason they were losing. But a combination of factors. I think Clockwork and Ash really a fantastic duo. And Ash has really developed into his role as well because before playing for this team, essentially the best team in the world, they didn't have... he wasn't playing Scout, you know. He was he was playing Roma for a long time and then joined froyotech to replace Lansky and play Pocket. And then moved over to the Scout role and swapped with Banny. And it's been a change that's worked out surprisingly well for them, I think.
Yeah, it has really worked out well for them. Ash has really no trouble transitioning into that Scout role. Now, do you think the changes that they've made is better than teams of past froyotech, maybe having Banny on Pocket, or maybe?
I think to say that that Banny on Pocket was in any way bad would be a bit silly because he's just been absolutely performing fantastically in the ESEA finals as well. Performed absolutely fantastically, but I think. Not to take anything away from Lansky, because I do think Lansky was a fantastic pocket soldier, probably one of the best pocket soldiers to touch the game in his own way, because he played a different role to the other fantastic pockets of their time. Previously, the I series, I'm thinking of people like Yuki, I'm thinking of people like Mike when they were playing on their respective teams, and Lansky as well, of course. And he had a fantastic impact on the game and played that so well, and the stuff that he added to comms and things like that. I think there was nobody that could replace him in that team apart from Banny, and so they were in a way perhaps a little shoehorned into putting Banny on that role because of what he adds to the team comms, to the leadership, and being able to provide a backbone structure to that team. But he's doing it fantastically, and his DM is to me surprisingly good. It's very good, and Ash is playing really well on Scout as well.
He is indeed, and their next matchup, froyotech, will be up against Nerd Rage, who, if I saw it correctly, they came around and showed us a score, just beat Reason Gaming. I believe it was 3-2. Somebody came through and showed me that, or that may have been TLR beat Reason, but regardless, that's an interesting score if you haven't heard that one yet. I believe it was TLR beat Reason 3-2, but our next game that we'll be covering here on Team Fortress TV 1 is Nerd Rage against froyotech, so definitely be looking forward to that one that'll be coming up very shortly here.
I think if there was a team to kill froyotech in these group stages, it would be Nerd Rage. So I think, especially on Viaduct. Oh, on Viaduct. We're going to see Flippy sniping on Viaduct. It's just going to be a dream come true. It's going to be so good.
It is going to be very good. Viaduct's always my favorite to watch. I got to say that every time. Going to love it. It's going to be an awesome match. It'll be coming up very shortly here within the next 10 minutes or so, I would imagine. So don't go anywhere, guys. Nerd Rage versus froyotech coming up here very shortly.